What's good? What's good? What's good? Jumping in late, man. It's already round 5, y'all. Opetaia versus Glanton. Got the first Zuffa Boxing title on the line. All right. What's good? What's good? What's up, Scotty boy? Hey, Scotty boy. Zuffa is the boxing organization that Dana White in Turkey are running. Turkey Al Sheikh. So technically, I believe the Canelo and the Crawford and Canelo fight was promoted by their organization. I got to double check that, but I believe so. Um, but it's a lot of stuff going on as far as what Zuffa is doing. Um, and this tonight, this is their first title belt is on the line, so they're creating their own titles outside of the big sanctioning bodies like WBO, WBC, IBF, WBA. So they're going to have their own Zuffa title. This is a cruiserweight bout that's going on right now. Um, and there's actually just to add to that. I don't know if you've been kind of following Scotty Boy, but there's some legislation going on too. It's the Muhammad Ali Revival Act. And what that's doing is it's allowing, well, if it passes, it's under review in Congress right now. But if it does pass, it will allow Zuffa to create basically what they're doing in UFC, which is they'll be able to create what's called a UBO, a Unified Boxing Organization, and essentially they'll be able to promote, be the manager, promoter, all of that stuff, pay the fighters, everything. So it's people are fighting against it. I know last time I was speaking about it, we had somebody on here saying it was going to be a create a monopoly. um, USA Boxing was behind it for a minute, and now it looks like they have pulled their support of it recently. And I think it was January 21st when it passed through to Congress. So Congress is reviewing it now, but it has not been passed yet. But it's the Muhammad Ali Revival Act. But this belt tonight, this cruiserweight belt, would be the first one awarded in this organization, Zuffa Boxing. You said, wait, Dana Wright runs this. Yep, nobody gonna get paid. Hey, they've been saying, um, it what this will translate to is, you know, better fights, lower pay. So basically, it's like a UFC model where they determine who you fight. So the fighters can't like make their own schedule. So technically, all the ducking, as people will say, it would be eliminated. You can't duck this fighter because it's actually the matches are made by the organization itself. What's good, Bong? What's good? Bong in the building. So we're in round 6, man. Round 6 of this title fight, this Zuffa cruiserweight title bout. So this will be history for Zuffa, but then you'll have to, as I say, wait for the legislation to pass to see if it's going to be history for boxing itself, because this could change. If it's passed, it would change the landscape for sure. But I don't see a bunch of fighters just saying, "Hey, man, forget it. We just gonna jump over to Zuffa Boxing." It's gonna take some time. Um, let's see. Don't take me seriously. 69. Maybe the fighters need to do better if they want to get paid. To that I would ask you: do you think that it's just the fighters, or do you think it also has to do with some of the promotion, like promoters? Don't always go after the best matchups, right? They go after the ones that'll make the most money, be the safest, lowest risk, highest reward. Some sort of balance between there, right? Um, Denise, Denise Rodriguez Godoy, how you doing? Shout out to you. Let's see. Let's see what Scotty boy. You said that's a great idea, but if the fighters can't duck matchups, then they should get paid more. I mean, but that's like UFC. You know, you could say that, yeah, they should get paid more for sure, but then there'd have to be some lobbying for that. But if you have an organization that's a UBO, Unified Boxing Organization, that does everything, the promoting, the matchmaking, the payments, and all that type of stuff, they basically control the whole deal, right? So then who would be lobbying for the fighters? What could a manager really do in that case? Right? They're no longer, they don't have the reins, I would say, right? They don't have as much control. So we'll see. It's already in Congress, though. It may, there's a good chance that it will pass. And if it does, then that basically just that just opens the door for them to do what they want to do with Zuffa Boxing. But they're on Paramount Plus is televising this, and a lot of these streaming services, man, like they are kind of throwing their hats into sports, like pay-per-view and all that type of stuff, like just not Paramount. In sports in general, you also have the streaming uh with Prime Video streams a lot. You see Netflix streaming fights and sports and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with those platforms and how they're divvying out contracts and as well, how they're spending their money, because that has a lot to do with um, how these organizations are or aren't able to take off. But Paramount Plus is in the building with this. They're tatted all over the ring, right? So they're in round 7 right now. It's been kind of back and forth, man, to be honest. If I'm and Opetaia is the champion. Let's see. Brandon Hallam. I would rather Stroud be dating Amber Rose than fucking Gina. You stupid. Bong, you say they typically get paid less. Are you talking about UFC? The UFC fighters? Yes, they do. If that's what you're saying, they definitely get paid less, but um that's kind of what Zuffa Boxing would usher in terms of the pay, I believe. It would be less pay, but people are saying better fights, less pay, right? Um, and is that the only way to get the fights that you want by having a UBO, a Unified Boxing Organization? I don't think so. Um, you just have to have some of these promoters step up to the plate, or these managers step up to the plate and decide that they're going to make the bigger fights. There's more risk, but it's almost like everybody's afraid of the O going. Everybody's afraid of taking an L. So if you take a loss, then your value is diminished. Like, nah, it should be okay. You take an L, how do you bounce back, right? But it seems like as soon as fighters lose, it's like, okay, let's put this guy on the shelf and move on to the next hot thing. So they're not really building fighters anymore. They just who's hot, who's not, right? You don't have the back and forths, the trilogies, and all of that type of stuff like you used to have in the past. Let's see. Bong says, correct. Not being able to duck fights don't help the fighters at all, just more into Dana White's pockets. Yeah, and I mean it's like what the fans would say if they start getting if you get enough fighters to go over to Zuffa, right? Because the last time I was talking about this, I was like, man, well, which fighters are going to go? Are you going to get a lot of fighters to go over there? And as soon as I'm looking, I'm like, Connor Ben signed with them, signed with Zuffa. So I'm like, okay, well, who's next? If you get enough fighters to go over there, um, they could kind of pick up some steam, right? I don't know if how soon that will happen is what I'm saying though. I don't know how soon fighters will decide, all right, we gonna jump ship from our normal or regular promotion and go on over to Zuffa Boxing. And then to break some of these deals that these fighters have, these top fighters have with their current promotion teams, that's gonna be hard to do, right? Because you already see what's happening with, let's say, Oscar De La Hoya and Virgil Ortiz. With Golden Boy Promotions and Virgil Ortiz, that situation is in court right now. It's in arbitration, and who knows when that's going to be done. So you were thinking you would get a Virgil Ortiz and Ennis fight, Jerron Ennis fight, and that's not going to happen, at least no time soon, because you have the situation with arbitration with Golden Boy and Ortiz going on. So let's assume top fighters already locked in with current big promotion teams. How will they break away from their current promotion teams? Scotty Boy said, facts, Bong. Why jump ship and get paid less? It makes no sense. This is not gonna work. Scotty Boy. Now, I'm I was asking the same questions, like, why jump ship? Connor Ben has already signed. I think his contract, his deal with them is a $15 million deal. And then you had somebody like Terrence Crawford, who he had issues with his promotion team and was going back and forth, and he got with Turkey, and you know he said that's the most money he got for any of his fights. So he has no issue with it. You got somebody like let's say a Shakur follows behind what Terrence Crawford did and decides, all right, I'm gonna go rock with Turkey, which essentially Turkey is hand in hand with Dana White with Zuffa Boxing. So you get somebody like a Shakur Stevenson over there. I don't know. Just saying, man. I'm thinking could you know, it's gonna take some time, but and who did Shakur go with? Was it DeBella? Um, let's see. I think he went with because I know he was with Eddie Hearn. Who'd he go to? Yeah, he went to Lou DeBella. I thought so. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Shakur, but if he goes, that's one big fighter. Who else could follow, right? Um, let's see. They only gonna pay the big fighters and pay the rest pennies. I mean, that's kind of what happens now with the current model anyway, though, Scotty boy. The big money only goes to the big fighters. The cats on the undercard, they not really getting paid a grip of money. They putting their life on the lines for, in comparison, pennies on the dollar compared to like a mega fight. Everybody on that Crawford Canelo fight wasn't getting Crawford Canelo money, regardless of the model, Zuffa Boxing or not. So I think some folks are still taking too much risk for too little pay anyway. But if you don't think current fighters now are getting robbed by their promoters, like that's definitely going down and has been a problem in boxing for quite a while. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. All right, this fight is actually going into the ninth round, man. Let me see what we got going. Be talking about a lot of other stuff that's going on, just kind of the implications of what Zuffa Boxing is doing. Period. But the fight itself, right now, the cruiserweight championship is in the ninth round. It just started. Um, Man, Glanton has had just kind of a shell guard up, not really moving too much, been just directly in front of Opetaia. And I mean, neither one is kind of taking taking lead. It's a little bit back and forth in this one. Right? This is it. This is kind of phone booth type boxing. Nobody's going too, moving too much. Um, Glanton's cutting off the ring because I mean, Opetaia is kind of on his on his back foot at times, but Glanton cuts off the ring. He's throwing short uppercuts inside. They're leaning on each other. It's a, you know, big boy matchup. Nobody's really running. They're toe to toe. And currently in this round, there's no clear advantage so far. There's been a couple low blows though. Glanton has thrown a couple low blows in the earlier rounds. Um, just back and forth exchanges, both going to the body, exchanging shots to the body. Glanton with uppercuts, some sneaky uppercuts. Up there's a trip. I mean, this is, I'll be honest, it's not the most exciting fight. I'll say that. Um, okay, Opetaia is moving, hitting him with the 1-2, trying to establish his jab. Now he's got a stiff ass jab and and straight left because he's a southpaw. Southpaw stands. Glanton conventional. So he was getting tagged by the straight 1-2 over and over by Opetaia. But yeah. Ah, Mel 90210 in the building. What's good? Shout out to you. Good to see you again. Let's see here. And happy Sunday to you too. Shout out to you. Happy Sunday to all. If y'all out here in Cali, y'all know we sprung forward. So we lost an hour, so to speak. So um those of y'all who are out here, you may feel it tomorrow when you waking up to go to work. So, but yeah, happy Sunday nonetheless, right? My stream keeps freezing over here too. So let me get this together. Hold on one second, y'all. All right, hold on, y'all. Stream is tripping on your boy. Of course, we would have some technical difficulties right now. That was the 10th round. Okay, so I'm back up. Man, I had some issues with my Paramount stream, the Paramount stream yesterday. I think a lot of people said it went black for the UFC match, Oliveira and Holloway. Goodness gracious, was that domination? Charles Oliveira is a beast. Oh, uppercuts from Opetaia again. Glanton's taking punishment, man. That jab and that straight left is something. It's connecting at this moment for sure. He's outlanded Glanton throughout the match. Glanton doesn't move much. Um, he stands in the pocket, and I mean he's there to be hit. He's tough though, but yeah, he's beat up and bruised at this point, and Opetaia is opening up. He's connecting now. It's some separation created in that 10th round for sure. That is for sure. Hold on, y'all. Okay, I'm back up, y'all. Yeah, so my stream may be a little bit behind because I had to pause, back it up. But yeah, man, Glanton is just not really, like I say, Glanton hasn't moved much. He stands in the pocket. And as the fight has gone on, um, it's just Opetaia is connecting a little bit more. Opetaia is controlling the fight at this point. Um, it ain't looking good for Glanton. Opetaia is gonna win this as far as I see. This is in the 11th at this point. Um, Glanton is, like I say, he's just standing there in the pocket. I think he's had some point deductions, all this type of stuff. Things are just not going in his favor. So it looks like the first Zuffa Championship belt looks like it's gonna be going to Opetaia. Glanton is trying to rough him up, but once again, like I say, it's just close quarters, some exchanges. Anytime there's some space, Opetaia is establishing his jab and then just connecting with just a 1-2 straight down the middle. 1-2 body punches, uppercuts. 1-2 body punches, uppercuts. It's like, and he's got good movement too. Like, and now shoe shining a little bit. I mean, at this point, Glanton is roughing him up, but it looks like it's going to be a clear decision. And it appears that it's going to go the distance. I don't know if there were some betters talking about it would be a knockout in this fight, but it looks like it's going the distance. So I'm pretty sure folks are out there either pissed off or happy with this outcome. As we always talk about on Two Peas in the Bong, you know that uh, prop bets and betting and all that stuff is all over the place. So I don't know who you put your money on tonight. And here's my stream pausing again. So this is probably, the fight itself is probably already over the way my stream is going. I'm just playing catch up. So we shall see. But again, anybody who is just interested in boxing and how this stuff is going to shake out with Zuffa Boxing, this is going to be interesting. This is definitely going to be interesting. Yeah, see, my stream is tripping. Every time I cut it back on, it's backing up. So, yeah. But man, shout out to y'all for rocking with your boy for a minute. I at least want to see what this outcome is going to be before I get up out of here. Um, and the crazy thing about this, I was talking to Bong before. Um, yeah, shout out to you, Mel 90210. Let him know. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Um, but yeah, look. So I was telling Bong earlier. Those of y'all that are normally in here on the stream, um, Bong, myself, and KP make up Two Peas in a Bong. So I'm 1/3 of the crew. But I was talking to him earlier and just telling him that. So Opetaia, it holds the IBF cruiserweight belt, right? And it's been some crazy stuff going on, like before the fight, leading up to it. I think the IBF was on board with the fight, or at least that's the way they made it seem. But then shortly before they were going forward with the match, the IBF did not sanction the event. So I don't know if they have officially stripped Opetaia of his belt or if they're considering stripping him of his belt, but they have not sanctioned this event. Um, which would lead you to think like, well, what's really going on, right? What kinds of stuff is happening? What kinds of things are happening behind the scenes? Did the other sanctioning bodies put some pressure on the IBF? Like, look, don't support this shit because eventually, if they pass that, Muhammad Ali Revival Act, they're gonna put the squeeze on all the other sanctioning bodies, WBO, IBF, WBC, WBA, all of them are gonna be in a tug of war with Zuffa Boxing in their UBO organization, the Unified Boxing Organization that they have going on, their UBO movement. That's definitely gonna be just a complete contrast to what the other sanctioning bodies have. Because right now, let's say this. How many times have you seen, let's say you have a championship fighter, whoever holds the belt, right? Let's just say IBF in this case, since they're the ones who are not sanctioning this fight. Let's just say you have an IBF champion and then there's a number one contender. How many times have you seen that champion not fight the number one contender but go fight somebody else? It happens all the time, right? So with the UBO, the Unified Boxing Organization, through what Zuffa Boxing hopes to create, they're going to make the matches. So you can't hold a belt and then not fight, a number one contender. They would make you fight this guy, or they'd make the match and you can't duck the match. It's kind of a shit or get off the pot kind of deal, right? But there's other implications that go into that, as far as like the lower pay scales that we've been talking about. Um, but I'm curious to know what went on and what led the IBF to say, well, shit, we not gonna sanction this event. Like, I heard Opetaia's team say, I believe it was his manager, that there was an interview where I heard they were saying that they fulfilled all of their obligations as far as it goes with the IBF. That all of the obligations were fulfilled, but then the IBF came late and decided not to sanction the event. It sounds like the pressure was applied behind the scenes to me. But I don't know, man. This is something that I'll definitely continue to kind of keep an eye on. Again, this it's not an overnight thing, right? And the really important part about this, even though tonight Zuffa Boxing decided to just go forward with their own belt, um, the legislation part of it is really important, right? So that the Muhammad Ali Revival Act, that part is important. So until like a final decision is made on that, you won't really, let's say Zuffa Boxing won't have the green light to create exactly what they're trying to do. Um, but if it does pass, right? If it does end up passing, um, you're gonna see some changes. And I know a part of the act is just not. Well, so they say it's supposed to be for the safety and all of that stuff of the fighters. So obviously there's some people may call it smoke screens put up there just to kind of be the face of what they really want to do behind the act. But if it passes, it's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be crazy, but it's not gonna be overnight. A monopoly's not gonna happen overnight. L Bracket Productions, what's good? L Bracket Productions, have you? I don't know. Did you say that you were a boxing fan? That you follow boxing? Because this Zuffa boxing situation is kind of changing trying to change the scene, man. All right, official decision here. Okay, yeah, you said you love boxing. Yeah, so did have you heard about what Dana White and Turkey are doing with Zuffa Boxing? Were you aware that they have their first title match tonight? And Jai Opetaia just won. He just beat Brandon Glanton for the cruiserweight belt in Zuffa Boxing. Let's see. Nah, I watched the fight last night. Hey, El Bracket, that was complete domination by Oliveira. Complete domination, right? You know, me and Alf were in the Discord talking about that as to what would happen with Holloway uh and Oliveira. And I was saying if he takes him to the ground, if Oliveira takes Holloway to the ground, it could end in a sneaky submission. And the match was on the ground for the majority of the fight, right? He had, some easy takedowns and just he dominated the fight on the ground the entire night. Shout out to Holloway for not getting submitted, by somebody with uh high level jujitsu skills like Oliveira. Ridiculous submission game in jujitsu game, and he didn't get submitted. But I mean, it was he was dominated. Um, you said he clearly outweighed him, was way stronger. It looked that way, right? It looked that way. You say I feel like the referee got to step in that last round. Mm, I think it was fair to let him continue, right? Um, really, my question about that is what happens with Oliveira at this point, right? Um, I mean, he's clearly at the top, three of the division, right? But Tapuria ended up beating him convincingly, like he has everyone else. I mean, in just the fashion that he took the L to him, it's like as long as he's in the division, what's going to happen with Oliveira? But you know, if he ends up moving up and vacates the title, goes to welterweight, and Oliveira, obviously, if he stays at lightweight, then he'll probably get another crack at that belt. Um, but yeah, but that that was last night. But yeah, this you asked me, was the Zuffa fight a good fight? I mean, the main event, it was a big boy match. They were standing in the pocket throwing, pretty convincing win. uh I'm not surprised. It was clearly uh Opetaia won. Glanton was tough. Brandon Glanton was tough, but um I mean, it wasn't like a crazy exciting fight. It was just, banging, pause, banging inside, pause, fighting in the phone booth here and there. Opetaia was moving a little bit more, created some distance, southpaw. So he was establishing that jab, stiff jab, quick 1-2s, uppercuts, changing levels on him, going to the body. They both were throwing uppercuts inside. But it was pretty much the same thing every round, really. Um, if you want to say somebody was in danger of maybe being stopped, maybe Glanton, but yeah, it went the distance. Unanimous decision. The first one, so just getting started. Yeah, I mean it's the first one. They just getting started, and they don't really have like any of the really big name fighters, like I was saying. Um, and boxing is super political, which the introduction of something like this Zuffa boxing, it would it I think it would make it even crazier. Like, how is that going to look? Especially if you see fighters flourishing or feeling like they're being treated better in this new system, or they're raving about how the new system is going versus the traditional boxer promoter relationship or boxer promoter manager relationship, right? But L Bracket, I was saying earlier that you have situations like you have with Golden Boy Promotions and Virgil Ortiz, and that's just one recent one that you can throw out there. Like Golden Boy, Ryan Garcia was having issues with Golden Boy. Canelo was having issues with Golden Boy, right? Um, Shakur Stevenson was having issues with Eddie Hearn. So like, but then you have who's with Hearn. I think uh Boots is with Hearn. Just to throw one name out there, like, and I don't think he's reported having any issues, but one would say that it's time to see Boots step up the comp. But is it the boxing politics that are getting in the way? Is it management? Is it the promoter? Or is it the fighter who's actually not trying to fight people? I mean, people were trying to say Boots was ducking Ortiz. And now we see that Ortiz is having some internal issues with his management team and promotion team. So is that a duck from Ennis, or is it Ortiz? You got to get your stuff together with your promoter and your manager. Like, that shit's turned into a boxing reality show. Instead of love and hip hop, I say you might as well call it gloves and flip flop. Like, it's crazy. But De La Hoya went on and was talking about how uh Ortiz's pops was fighting some dude shirtless and all of this other kind of stuff, and he said his dad is a hothead and all of this, and he's showing his footage to back it and all that. Like, it's crazy. Hey, L Bracket, L Bracket, you laughing? But yes, man. Hey, we might as well try L Bracket Productions. Can you help me produce uh gloves and flip flop? Gloves and flip flop Las Vegas. That'll be the first the first show. And we'll focus on Golden Boy Promotions and a Virgil Ortiz deal. Like, that's crazy. But it's like you never really know what's truly going on unless you're like privy to the stuff that happens behind the scenes, right? Because I'm telling you, people were waving that Boots is ducking flag all over the place. Oh, Boots is ducking, Boots is ducking. And now you see that there were issues with Ortiz and his people, right? Um, oh man, who is this? Mar M8. That fight is over. The Zuffa boxing fight ended. Opetaia won, man. It was some back and forth, some toe to toe, but it was pretty convincing. It was never really in question. Opetaia won. So he's been awarded the first Zuffa Boxing Championship cruiserweight title. Um, but yeah, hey Mar, go ahead and sub, man. like, share, sub, come on back because we'll be talking about a lot of this stuff. I know you said you just got off work, man. Hope you had a good day at work. Working on a Sunday, man. Got to make it happen. Got to take care of that biz first, right? Um, but you didn't. I mean, you didn't miss a lot. Uh, it was okay. Not super crazy, not super exciting. It went the distance. It went the distance, um, but yeah, L Bracket, man. Let's get rocking on this gloves and flip flop reality show, reality boxing show, because that's what a lot of this shit turns into. Um, when you have a boxer and a promoter at odds, or a boxer promotion team and management team at odds, and all this stuff, there's a lot of hands in the pot, man. Right? And I'm not so sure that how he said gloves and flip flops. um, I'm not so sure that Zuffa Boxing is the solution to um everything that people would point to as being what's wrong with boxing, right? L Bracket says all the drama but barely any good fights. And then Tank about to be in the feds. Tank is one of the big names too, man. Tank is, if you want to say, Tank's a cash cow, um, as it stands, right? So his name in any mix on a card, you gonna pack that arena. He's a money maker. But that's the thing. Like, let's say, again, since that makes me think about Ryan Garcia, right? We were on here talking about the Garcia Barrios fight, where Garcia just won. But let's think about, a couple fights back, right? Yes, Garcia had a good showing against Devin Haney, but then what happened? Popped for the PEDs, right? Positive test on that. Then fast forward to the Rolly fight, takes a L, right? Now Golden Boy is looking like, you got pop for these PEDs. You just lost this match. Like, you're not so hot. Look, we may be putting you on the shelf and going in these other direction. We may be putting our money behind, let's say, Ortiz, right? Because he right now it's looking like he's a money maker, one of the interim belt holders, and we can have an interim match between the two with him and Boots Ennis, right? But then you have Garcia, who goes and beats Barrios, gets the WBC title. Now Golden Boy is like, oh, now we got Garcia just won a belt. Here's one of our champions. Now let's parade him around again. So it's really fickle. So now Garcia's got a title belt, so he's right back in the mix, in the good graces of Golden Boy, right? So it's like, when you're hot, and a promotion team will get behind you. When you're not, what happens? They may shelf you, and it could be a number of reasons. You could take a L, you could get injured. I mean, anything could happen in boxing, right? Let's say you get injured. Oh, okay, I can't fight. I was scheduled to fight in the fall, but now I can't, so I'm not going to fight until probably next year. You're not really making that promotion team no money. So guess what? They're going to put their focus on this other fighter. And if that guy wins a title, we're rolling with him. Like, it's who's bringing in the money. It's the relationship is not like I'm taking care of my fighter. I want to get the best for my fighter. It's, for a lot of people, and I'm not saying everybody, but for a lot of promoters, it's just, where can I make the most money? Who's going to make me the most money? And when I have somebody, when I get a champion, I don't want that guy to just lose his belt. So now I'm going to curate his schedule, his matches, his opponents. And it's like, we're going to fight this guy, not this guy, because that's too much of a risk. That's why you saw, when you want to talk about ducking, that's why you saw a lot of people ducking Terrence Crawford throughout his career. Too much of a risk, right? Terrence Crawford wasn't the A side throughout his career. He had to take fights and fight his way to the top. And that's why I have more respect for him, because he just fought and fought and fought, and then he got to these top events. Now people are saying, "Oh, Crawford is pound for pound the best." I wish my boy Pancake was on here. I wish my boy Pancake was on here, because I was talking to him about Terrence Crawford, and we had this debate about Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. He was all for Errol Spence is going to smack Crawford. Errol Spence. And he, respect to Crawford, he was giving it I guess you could say, a 50-50 fight, but his pick was Spence. And he thought Spence had the edge. I said Crawford all the way, Crawford all the way. And I've been saying this for years. I saw all the stuff about people talking about Crawford's too small, Crawford's too this, Crawford's too that. And now everybody is team Crawford. Everybody is saying Crawford is the best in the world. Like, but people weren't saying that. People weren't saying that before. And now everybody's popping out like, man, I knew it was something about him. Like, man, I could always tell. And I'm pretty sure the fighters themselves knew what type of dog he was, because they're around him and they probably seen sparring matches. If not, they sparred him as well. So the word gets around and who's who. But I'm just saying, like, in the public, like, nobody was saying Crawford is that guy the way that they're championing that cause now, the way they're going about it now. But shout out to Terrence Bud Crawford, man. Probably my favorite fighter, not probably, my favorite fighter out there right now. One day I'm gonna break down my list of favorite fighters, but Roy Jones is probably, I would say, of all time, my favorite fighter of all time. Roy Jones in his prime. Like, can't get much better than that, right? But man, I know shit. I didn't going all over the place. Really, I just wanted to get on here because I knew I would say this fight tonight, while it may seem insignificant to a lot, like, because I see a lot of people weren't really watching it, right? Some people didn't even really know about it. But just the implications behind the organization itself, the Zuffa Boxing organization itself, and what they are doing, it could end up shaking up the boxing world. Maybe not overnight, but a gradual grind that will eventually, like, just change the way things are done in boxing. And it's essentially having like a UFC type model, for those of y'all who are familiar with how UFC is, right? But I've been on here bumping my gums, man, for a minute. Appreciate y'all. L Bracket, Mar, appreciate the subscription. Mel 90210 in the building again. Appreciate you. Scotty boy, I know you were here early. I don't know if you're still in here. And I know Bong, I know you always jump in when we ain't all on here live. So Bong is always holding it down in the chat as well. But appreciate y'all. You will see us, likely will see us, I want to say probably tomorrow. See if we can get all three of us on here. I know Bong is cooking up some stuff about free agency, NFL free agent market, and everything that's going on with that. Got a lot of stuff coming up with the draft, and you're gonna see a lot of mock drafts and draft boards and all that type of stuff going on. Free agency coming up here. So even though football is not in play, there's a lot of off-season stuff that's about to get cooking. So look out for some stuff from us dropping soon. But once again, man, yep, salute to you too, L Bracket. I appreciate y'all, man. It's your boy DP at 2 P's in the bong, and I'm out.